about it. We got a couple of places to mark. Book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12. Mentioned this morning. Brought to my mind. And then this afternoon, in studying, I kind of was able to go back to it, but getting hardly any difference to it. And going to read all of chapter 14. Not necessarily going to preach about all of chapter 14. But you pray that the Lord would have His way in the service tonight. Pay attention to it. And who's this for? For everybody. Amen. I'm going to call out the young people in that particular order. But it's for everybody. Amen. Because there's a lot of folks that's a lot older than young people are and still need to get the understanding of the Word of God. And so Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 1. And this is what I was mentioning for our young people tonight. Remember now thy Creator the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw near, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. While the sun, or the light, or the moon, or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain. In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease, because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened. And the doors shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low. And he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. And when they shall be afraid of that which is high, and fear shall be in the way, the almond tree shall flourish, and the grasshopper shall be a burden, and desire shall fail, because man goeth to his... I like that little bit of a phrase right there, because if we live long enough, we're going to it. Our long home, amen, we're going to die, and I hope everybody's saved here tonight, amen, don't you? And the mourners go about the streets, or ever the silver cord be loosed, or the golden bowl be broken, or the pitcher be broken at the fountain, or the wheel broken at the cistern. Then shall the dust return to the earth as it was, and the spirit shall return unto God who gave it. Vanity of vanity, saith the preacher, all is vanity. And moreover, because the preacher was wise, he still taught the people knowledge. Yea, he gave good heed, and sought out, and set in order many proverbs. The preacher sought to find out acceptable words, and that which was written was upright, even words of truth. The words of the wise are as golds, and as nails fastened by the masters of assemblies, which are given from one shepherd. And further by these, my son, be admonished of making many books. There is no end, and much study is a weariness of the flesh. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God, keep His commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. For God shall bring every work into judgment, with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil. Amen. Let's pray. Father, we're humbling ourselves before you tonight. We thank you, God, Father, for all the blessings and mercy you showed us. Lord, and again, the wonderful and glorious privilege we have that you've allowed us to meet together tonight to worship. Thank you, Lord God, for being with our homes and our families, giving us all the many blessings for food, for shelter, for warmth, for love, your care. God, we can't praise you and thank you enough for being our friend and our helper tonight. Help us, Lord, be found pleasing to you, that we might also be your friend and helper in your kingdom. We might see it increase in power, Father, and in glory. May souls be born into it. We're loving you, Father, and praising you for it. God, I pray that you'll bless your word. May it fall on the ears of each and every one that needs to hear it. And may the hearts be receptive tonight for us. In Christ's precious name, we ask these favors. We thank you, Lord, tonight. And amen. Satan's number one target is the youth. Amen. He wants to get them destroyed. I remember reading a long time ago how that the Russians, the atheists, during that time of Khrushchev and all of them Russian presidents and czars, that said, you give us your children until they're 5 years old, and then you can have them back. Amen? And so the idea there is to ruin the minds early and then it's going to be hard for them when they get older to get all of that stuff out of their head. So I believe that Satan's greatest target is our youth tonight. Amen? Not necessarily just 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6, and 7, and 8, 9, all the way up into 18, 19, and 20, on however long that goes. We know that the devil's not going to give up trying to destroy you. And no matter who you are, no matter how old you are, that's why I want to include all the old folks in this as well. Tonight, doesn't matter what your age is, you're a target for the devil, but the young people have so much ahead of them, so many things that their life has the ability and the opportunity to experience. And I'm praying that God help them to understand how much He loves them, how much He cares for them, and His desire for them. And it's nothing but good, amen, nothing but glory, that He might save them from a lot of heartache, save them from a lot of trouble, because, amen, even if you do mess up at a young age, when you get old, you can still get forgiveness, but there may be some things that happen in your life because of foolish things that you do when you're young that you never get past. Amen. You might get forgiveness, but you never get past. The decisions that you make and the choices that you make when you're young, you can get forgiveness, but my friend, you may be held accountable to the consequences of those decisions. That's why I believe that we need, as young people, we need to pray for them, older folks. Amen. We need to pray for our young people. As I'm on my way to work and I go about my time, I lay down at night and I put my head on the pillow. I think about our kids in church, my grandkids, your grandkids, and I pray for them. I pray for this. God help them to make the right relationships. The people that they have, that they allow in their life, whether it's a boyfriend or a girlfriend or just friends in general, will make sure that it is the right people that they need in their life, because the wrong ones can certainly do a lot of harm. Amen? Would you acknowledge that with me? It's just not a lot of things maybe that they see on TV. It's not maybe a lot of the music, but a lot of the friends can really bring them down quickly. Everybody wants to fit in. Everybody likes to be liked. I hear people come to me from time to time, little folks, and they'll ask me, well, this person doesn't like me. They call me names and they hit me and they do this, that, and the other. And those are real heartaches for young people. But here's the point. I tell them, said, don't put no value in somebody that doesn't like you. Amen. If somebody doesn't like you, don't put no value in what they say. That's hard for a young person, a little person, to acknowledge. We want everybody to like us. I'm 60-something years of age. Real quick there, had a moment where I'm not sure no more. Amen. 60-something years of age. But here it is. I've got over thinking that everybody's going to like me, that I've got to have everybody like me in order for me to be happy. I understand there's a lot of people that don't like me. I'm not everybody's preacher. Even if you're saved tonight, I'm not the type preacher that everybody likes. Some people like them a little bit quieter. Some like it a little louder. Amen. Like them to stand behind the pulpit. Like them to walk on the benches. Whatever. Amen. I'm not everybody's preacher, but I am who I am. And if you like me, thank God for it. Make me feel good. If you don't, I'm still going to preach. I'm still going to love Jesus. I'm still going to make heaven my home. And what we've got to do, regardless what our likes or dislikes are as far as individuals and personalities are, we've got to work together for the kingdom's sake. Why? Because our children, our grandchildren, our loved ones are counting on us, showing them a real Jesus that's in our heart and in our life. Amen. Because I believe every point, every bit of what the gospel says, that we might be the epistle that others see. Amen. We might be the Bible that others see. They may never pick up a Bible, but if you say you're a Christian, they're looking for you to be what? Christ-like. Amen. There's no time to say I'll be Christ-like tomorrow. There's no time to say I'm going to get mad today and I'll get forgiveness tomorrow. If you're a Christian, there's no place where you can say tomorrow. You can say today. Amen. Because it's right now what you got in your heart and in your life. And I say it, and I believe that you understand it. It's not what you were. It's what you are. Amen. That's what counts. Amen. It's what you are right now that counts. And if Jesus had come today, are you right there in the place that He'd have you to be? Amen. And so young kids or young people are a great target, and the devil would like to destroy them and get their lives messed up and have them do all sorts of things and their lives just be ruined. And then maybe later on that the gospel comes and they think about giving their life to God, and they're no longer quite as effective as they could be if they'll ever get to the place they need to be. One of the first things, and I think about how that our children are in the world today, one of the things that the devil puts in their heart at an early stage, saved or unsaved, is rebellion. Kids want to rebel, amen? Now the devil rebelled. Rebellion is of the devil. Witchcraft is of the devil. Oh, but my friend, going back to the idea, rebellion. Once a child gets to the age where they can understand right and wrong, they start to make choices. Whether they're able at that point to know as much as they need Jesus, whether they're able to understand that or not, they start to make choices based on what? Their personality and what they perceive as what they want, whether it's right or wrong. And you ask a child that's not been taught how to lie about something, and that child will lie because of what personality and things is going on. If you got a pocket full of money, no, I don't have no money. Well, something's missing out of my wallet or out of my purse. I wonder who has it. It's not me. Amen. Do you remember the Family Circle? That little cartoon that used to be in the magazine, they still be, and they would ask who did this, and not me did it. Each one of the kids, not me, not me, not me. And it must have been some not me person, amen, in the house that did it. Well, I'll tell you what, amen. You don't have to teach a child to lie. Just let them come to the place where they understand they want something and they don't want you to have it. Or if you told them no and they do want to have it, they're going to say they've got it. They're not got it when they actually have it. And so rebellion, rebel in your mind, that's the first place where rebellion starts. Amen? Rebellion starts in the heart and in the mind of the individual. Once it gets in the heart and in the mind, it starts to build on that part of it. And once they get away with that rebellion, once a child gets away with a lie, it's so much easier the second time to tell a lie. In fact, you might think it's the best thing that ever was. If you don't get a whipping, you lied, they didn't find out, mom and dad didn't find out, you went somewhere you weren't supposed to, you did something you weren't supposed to, mom and dad don't know it, God does, you lied about it, nobody caught you, you got away with it. Next thing you know, well, that was pretty easy. Amen, it was pretty easy. Next time something like that happens, you won't have to look for an idea of what to say. You'll just make up something. In fact, whenever you're growing up and lies are going to be your way that you get right by, whenever you get ready to do something, you're going to think of what you can say to get out of trouble if trouble comes. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt. Amen. I'm telling you, I'm preaching to what I know tonight. Because it's easy sometimes to tell a lie instead of to face up to what you've done wrong. Do you know what being mature means? You know what being to the place where you understand what your accountability is and your responsibilities are? It means acknowledging when you're wrong, acknowledging when you fail. Amen. When you come short of the glory of God. The devil wants to destroy the young people through rebellion. He wants to get the home and marriage and everything all messed up. Wants to cause turmoil in the family. And so that the kids are fighting. Mom and dad's fighting. The next thing you know, the very first thing that God instituted in the Garden of Eden was a husband and wife. And He brought them together. He established a family. He established a home. And the devil has been mad ever since and is trying to destroy every home and every family that he can. And he's a good devil. He's good at it. Amen. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to destroy a heart. He knows how to destroy a life. He knows what it takes to get people in trouble. He knows what candy to set out in front of them to get their eyes attracted to it so that they'll go toward that way and not the way that God would have them be. I love the book of Genesis. I love the first few chapters, first 6 to 10 chapters of the book of Genesis. You can learn so much when you think about Adam and Eve. Now, what did the devil do? God placed the tree in the garden and said, don't eat of that tree. Everything else you got a right to. You got the privilege to. I've given you the authority. You can have of every tree in the garden except that one. Which was the only one the devil brought. The one they couldn't have. What does the devil try to do to you today? He tries to get you to do the one thing you're not supposed to do. Amen. He knows what he's done. Well, I'm smart enough that I'll not be caught by the devil's tricks. Don't you ever think you're that smart. Amen. You've not been here. I've been here 60-some years, and I'm not smart as the devil. I do know this, that if I start to go his way, he'll get me. If I start to lean to his understanding and his ways, he'll get me. Amen. I'll tell you, friend, you got to be on the battle all the time. That's why Ephesians tells us to put on the whole armor of God. We might be wise to the wiles of the devil. We might not give in to it. We might have the authority and power to overcome. He wants to destroy the marriage. Mom and Dad, not Adam and Steve, but Adam and Eve. He wants to destroy it so that folks aren't minded on God. This transgender stuff and all this bathroom stuff and each thing that they're fighting today. A few years ago, the states were trying to decide whether two of the same sex could be married together, and they went ahead and approved it that they could be married together. You remember us talking together and said, that's not a marriage. I don't care what kind of paper you got saying it's a marriage. They may have a marriage license, but that's not a marriage. Marriage is defined by God. And He's the only one. Since He's the one that designed marriage, He's the one that defined marriage. Amen. And the devil's mad, and he wants to destroy the home. If he can get mom and dad, if he can get the kids, he can get them fighting among themselves, and he can get them all messed up, the next thing's the nation. Amen. And what is the norm today that we have accepted yesterday? Amen. Is the thing that we should have stood against yesterday, so that it's not normal today. When we look around, what's the Bible said? That they call good evil and they call evil good. We're living in that day today. Our kids pay attention to marriage and home and family. If you've got godly parents, if you've got a mom and a dad that loves you and they bring you to church, whether you want to come or not, amen. You thank God that they bring you to the house of God. Because one of these days you would most definitely say it's been, I thank God that my mom and dad raised me in the house of God. Amen. My mom and dad didn't go to church. I'm glad for meeting Deb and her mom and dad. They did go to church. Amen. They didn't drag me. They had no right, ability, authority, and opportunity to do it. But they did ask. I said, well, sure, I don't have no bad feelings about church. I didn't have no understanding of what idea was in church. But when I got there, I found out I liked it. Amen. Folks were real happy. They'd shake hands. There was music going on. It sounded like a good place to be to me. Amen. Once God touched my heart, that's all that was needed. Amen. What a difference Jesus made. He wants to destroy your life. He wants to destroy your family. Is the devil good at it? You better believe he is. You look at the news and you hear what's going on in our world today. The devil's good at destroying homes and families. Amen. Whether you're in the church or out of the church. Brother Rick, did you just say that? I most definitely did. Amen. The devil wants to destroy you, and he's doing a good job at it. And find it doesn't matter whether you're a Christian or not. Nobody is exempt from the devil's wiles. If you want your marriage to stay together, stay close to God. You want your children to be in church and raised and get saved when you get old enough to know the difference. Stay close to God. Get them in the house of God. I can't stress that heavier than what I just did. Amen. Because Satan wants to deceive them. People today, they want an easy way. And it certainly is being told and is popular in the world today. The devil has deceived people. He's deceived young people. He got them the idea. For some reason or other, people kind of classify folks in certain age groups and they give them a name. I'm a baby boomer. Amen. That's what I am. That's what they call me. I guess that's what I am. That's what the title they give me. My kids today that are a couple of years old, in Jeremy's age and a little younger, a little old, they're millennials. They're millennials. And I've never seen an age group so bound up with the philosophy of this world that think they know it all. And we've always thought we've known it all. But this is a group of people, millennials, that have lived under the philosophy of the Indian gurus and have come out of that time. It was in the time whenever the Beatles were popular, and all those individuals came out from Egypt and India, and they were coming with this greater knowledge and understanding, and people have bought into that today, and the devil has deceived them to think that those philosophies are right, to the point where today there are so many people that say all roads lead to God. They don't. There's just one that leads to God. John 14:6, Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh to the Father but by me. It's that simple. There's not a bunch of ways. There's not two ways. There's just one way. Amen. And when you get saved, you'll get saved the way everyone else did. Huh? You'll get saved the way everyone else did. You won't get saved by joining the church. You won't get saved by being baptized in the pool. You won't get saved because you shook somebody's hand, you had some teaching. You get saved when you're washed by the blood. When you ask for forgiveness. When Jesus Christ comes into your heart and your life. And He makes it change. That's when you get born again. That's when you get saved. Amen. We want it the easy way today. So many do. The liberal teachers in our colleges. Boy, they've done a good job in the last number of years. If you can send your child to a Bible college for the first little bit of it, get them to be established by somebody that has got that teaching and knowledge, amen, then that's a good idea and a good thing. But boy, I'll tell you what, you get out from East Tennessee, and even in East Tennessee, you get some of these other places. Get out of the Bible Belt. Get out of the Bible Belt and see what these teachers, these liberal, wide-minded, liberal teachers, college professors are teaching today. Amen. How many ever did see that God's Not Dead? That movie. Amen. That's just exactly what I'm talking about. That's the idea that they've got. Them kids will get up there and they'll be challenged for their faith and not have a lot of real good battleground knowledge to fight against that kind of stuff. And they'll get the teacher will get to the point where they say, well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Mom and Dad were wrong. Maybe it's like this teacher said, because he's going to seem what? So smart to them when they get out there amongst them in the world. And worldliness, I mentioned this morning, 1 John chapter 2:15. Saith the love of the world is in you, the love of the Father is not. Amen. You can't love the evil things of the world and have God in your heart and your life. It doesn't work that way. Jesus said, the Bible said in 1 Thessalonians, to come out from among them and be ye separate, saith the Lord. Even you can't join to the world and be right with God. You've got to come out of the world. What did God tell Moses? Go get my children and bring them out of Egypt. Egypt meaning the worldliness that's there. And then we have drugs and alcohol. People today run down the kids with drugs, the things that they're doing, and they need to be run down. Not run over, run down because of it. But I think today that because alcohol overall has been accepted, we're going to have the same stigma attached to it. But it's just as wrong. If you're taking in drugs, you're taking in alcohol, and they're not prescribed to you the drugs, or if you're taking in the alcohol, amen, and you're getting high, you want to buzz on, it's wrong, it's sin. Amen. Amen. It's still wrong. It's sin today because it's destructive. It's trying to tear up your life. Amen. Well, we put alcohol up there and we've legalized it and we've got taxes off of it and it's paying for a lot of good things. Amen. So we got the lottery. We've got it where they have to give a certain amount to the school system. It's a good thing, amen. It's got benefits attached to it. And all these things, you passing the marijuana laws just as fast as they can, left and right. It's a good thing. It's going to be taxed. It's taxed a little higher, in fact. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. I'll tell you, friend, you can't make a bad thing good. No matter how much taxes it pays. No matter how many schools it builds. Amen. I have an argument, or what did Mr. Perry put it, Brother Perry? We have some intense fellowship. Amen. I have a lot of disagreements, intense fellowship with some folks where their idea is that it's all right and it's not going to do any harm. And I said, you look back to those places where that they've allowed those things. You look back to Prohibition and how that everything got a little bit better. Yeah, they started making moonshine and they were going to make it somehow or another and do it. When they closed the bars and the speakeasies came out. Amen. Speakeasy meaning don't make a lot of noise, the police will know we're here. And so the idea there was the idea that, amen, we can do this stuff. We have to be quiet about it. It's not going to harm nobody. It's going to do good. Everybody's got to have a relief somehow or another. Amen. You think back, you look at the way those things are. The moment you start to legalize alcohol and drugs and these things, the harder it is on the families. The more destruction that comes to the home because of these things that we get taxes off of to help build schools. I told somebody they said that marijuana is being good. It's really helping out there. And those other states that got it, the states are booming with that. And I said, yeah, the states are booming. The hospitals have more business. The police officers have more business. The jails are more busy. The prisons are more busy. Yeah, the business is booming. And those places where they allow that stuff. Now, it's not any good. No matter what good comes from it, it's no good. Amen? Huh? Amen. And spiritualism. We live in that time where we've got all these different things going on, and we've got where the people can just go ahead and do anything they want to, and mommy and daddy lets them do anything they want to do, and there's nobody that you got to give an answer to. Why, a few years ago, kids that said the things today, if they'd have said it a few years ago, they'd got switched.
Amen.
Let me get down here closer to you. Amen. If people said, kids said, what they do today, a few years ago, they'd have come home or gone to school, or they'd have went over to a friend's house and they'd have had a red hind end to go with. Amen. We got people kids that are grown up, they've been taught, they don't respect their teachers, they don't respect their parents, they don't respect the elders. Amen. When I was growing up and I did something in my neighborhood, my neighbors would call my mom. If I didn't get a whipping by the neighbor, I got the whipping when I got home. And it seemed like today everything's controlled by a switch. Lights are controlled by a switch. Fans are controlled by a switch. But kids aren't controlled by the switch no more.
Amen.
Something's wrong. Amen. I don't believe in beating anybody till the blood pours out of them. My mama said when she was growing up that they were all in bed, and it was 8 or 9 of them in their family. They all slept in one room in an old farmhouse. And all the kids slept on the floor with a pallet, kind of laid out, some blankets and things, all slept together. And one of the boys laughed out real loud, and her father, who was, I never knew him, he died before I was born, and when she was still young. And he come in there and he took the leather bootstrap out of his shoes and he said, who was laughing? Who's making noise when you're supposed to be asleep? None of them told on who it was. And so he whipped every one of them with a string out of a leather bootstrap. Amen. You think what we do today is child abuse? Look back at the way they used to correct them. We today, I don't have no idea what child abuse is, and I had a broom busted over my back. I think it was a broom that had been used too many times and it just got weak. Amen. Did I deserve it? Yeah, I did. I got away with a lot of things, but when I got caught, I deserved every one of them. Amen. Sometimes I look back and I think that when I got whipped, I was just getting paid back for those that I didn't get caught on. Amen. Things I didn't get caught on, but I thank God for my upbringing. Mom and Dad, I wish they'd have gone to church. I prayed with them before they died. Hope they went to heaven. Testimony they had, everything was all right. That's the only thing I can go on. But I wish they'd have brought me to church. Amen. Thank God for those that were instrumental in getting me to where that the Word of God and the Spirit of God could knock on my heart's door. Amen. And so the spiritual part of it. Look with me. Let me slow down for just a moment. Deuteronomy chapter 18. Deuteronomy, the second telling of the law. That's what that actually means. Deuteronomy, the second telling of the law, chapter 18. And look at verse 9, 10, 11, 12. This is God's instruction for the young people and for those that are elders and how they ought to behave themselves and share. Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 9. When thou art come to the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, thou shalt not learn to do after the abominations of those nations. There shall not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire. Now they burnt their children alive to the false gods at that time. Amen. And the Baals, B-A-A-Ls, were those people that did it. They had a god that was called Molech, M-O-L-E-C-H, and they had a hollowed out brass one that they had, and they set fire up inside of this hollowed out brass idol god that they had. When it would get cherry red, they'd place their little babies in its arm, and they'd burn to death by that. That's what he said. He said, don't make your son or your daughter pass through the fire, or that use divination, fortune telling, witchcraft, one thing and another, or an observer of times, or an enchanter, or a witch, or a charmer, or a consulter with familiar spirits, with a wizard, a necromancer, those that fool around with the dead. For all that do these things are an abomination unto the Lord, and because of these abominations, the Lord thy God will drive them out from before thee. So God's saying, I'm going to separate all these people from you. Don't do after they do. Be ye separate, saith the Lord. Amen. These ideas and things that people have about what they do, that they can get away with and think that God's pleased with them in their lives. Amen. We think about the sexual attraction that young people have, but not just young people. I think as I've looked on the news, and I mentioned on Wednesday night when I run across it, how the teachers have taken abuse of the kids, and we've got a 14-year-old girl and a 40-some-year-old teacher that they can't find now. He's run off with her somewhere. They think they're in Texas. He looked online and tried to find out states where he can marry somebody that was under the age of marrying. And when they searched his computer and her computer and found out that they were having some kind of relationship, amen. So we got these kids that are so vulnerable. She didn't have a father figure in her life that she could look up to. And that's one thing that I'd say, and I've had a conversation this week. Fathers, make sure that you're the good dad, not the friend dad. You got to be a good dad first. Then you can be their friend. I told my sons, I said, I'm your father first. I want to be your friend. I really do. Seems like we get to a certain age and they don't want to be your friend no more. Amen. Well, I accepted that. And I said, I'll be your father. That's what God called me to be. That's the position that He gave me. He never did call me to be my children's friend. I think it's a good thing if you can be. But my friend, if you're letting down on God, if you're not the father or the mother that you're supposed to be. And I think about that teacher and abusement of like that and our kids today and the hormones that run wild. I tell the grandkids, don't get into the position where that something's going to happen and your emotions are going to be out of sight and you're going to do something that you know you shouldn't do and you're going to regret later on. I've told that to my grandkids. I've told it to my boys. I'm telling it to you today. Amen. 15 minutes in the back of a car seat may be something you regret the rest of your life. Amen. Don't get into that place. Don't get back there to start with. In fact, amen, the advice that was given to me, still good advice today. Don't go anywhere alone when you're going to have the opportunity. Just have people around, folks around, amen, you can count on that they're going to be watching you and you got to give an account to. And then unbelief. The devil wants to get kids where that they don't believe. Raised in the house of God, but they got to the place where they just don't know anymore. And they just don't believe like they ought to. 2 Corinthians chapter 4 and verse 4. The God of this world, Satan, hath blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of the glorious gospel of Christ should shine unto them, and they should be saved. Satan wants folks not to know who God is, who Jesus is. And he's blinded their eyes. He does a good job at getting other things more important than God. Amen. He does a good job in the world we live in tonight. And that's my idea of Satan's number one target for America's youth today. Where are you at with God in your life? Get close to God. Stay close to God. Don't give the devil an opportunity to bring you down. Because it might be awful hard to get back up, if not impossible. As we get an invitation number.
Page 107.